You wake up, your phone is already glowing. 43 notifications, 3 calendars, a dozen decisions before breakfast, and somewhere in the back of your mind, a quiet, exhausted thought: this feels harder than it used to be. But the real answer is far stranger than burnout, or laziness, or bad luck. Your ancestors faced a world that could kill them in 100 different ways. Yet, in some strange sense, they were built to handle it better than you are built to handle this one. Why? It isn't that they had it easy. Nobody is arguing that. A single infection could end a life. A bad harvest could end a season. A wrong turn on a hunt could end everything, in seconds. And yet, somehow, the exhaustion you feel scrolling through an ordinary Tuesday afternoon has a different texture than the exhaustion of surviving a genuinely dangerous world. Different, and in some strange way, heavier. That doesn't make sense at first, not until you look closely at what your brain was actually built to do. Start with the obvious question: wasn't ancient life objectively worse? Disease, famine, predators in the dark, yes, all true. But your brain was never designed to process danger the way you experience stress today. It was designed to process a threat, react, and then let it go. A lion appears. Your heart races. You run or you fight. Or you freeze. Then it's over. One event, one resolution, one release. Now think about your last stressful week. How many threats did you actually resolve? Probably none. Because modern stress doesn't arrive as a lion. It arrives as an email that never stops refreshing. A bill that's always due next week. A comparison to someone else's highlight reel, replayed endlessly, with no clear ending at all. The neuroscientist and stress researcher Robert Sapolsky spent decades studying this exact mismatch. He observed that most animals experience stress in short, sharp bursts tied to a real physical danger. A zebra runs from a lion, escapes, and within minutes goes back to grazing as if nothing happened. Its body doesn't carry the danger forward. Humans, on the other hand, can trigger the same biological stress response just by thinking about a problem. No lion required. Just a thought, replayed at midnight, or during a meeting, or in the middle of a meal you're not even tasting anymore. Sapolsky's research suggests this is why chronic stress hits humans so differently than it hits almost any other species on Earth. Zebras don't get ulcers, you might. Not because your life is more dangerous than a zebra's. Because your mind never lets the danger end. Our bodies are still running ancient software, built for short bursts and long recoveries. Our lives are running a completely different program, one with no recovery screen at all. Think about that for a second. How many worries did you carry today that never resolved into an action? How many were just loops? A conversation replayed, a decision second-guessed, a comparison made and remade. Each one biologically costs you almost the same as a real threat. Your body can't always tell the difference between a genuine emergency and an imagined one. Here's where it gets stranger. Ancient humans didn't just face fewer decisions. They faced almost none. Compared to you, anthropologist Robin Dunbar studied the size of human social groups across our evolutionary history. He found that our brains evolved to comfortably manage relationships with roughly 150 people, not more. Just enough to know who to trust, who owed you a favor, who might betray you. That was the entire social universe. A tribe, a handful of alliances, a short list of choices repeated for a lifetime. You, on the other hand, are connected to thousands, friends, cow workers, strangers online whose opinions somehow still sting. Every one of them is a tiny thread pulling at your attention. Your brain never evolved a filter strong enough to ignore all of them at once. So it tries to track every thread, and it exhausts itself doing it. Worse, your ancestors mostly compared themselves to the same 150 people, year after year. If someone in the tribe had a better hut, you saw it, adjusted, and moved on. There was a ceiling to the comparison, a knowable, human-sized ceiling. Now open any app on your phone. You're no longer comparing yourself to 150 neighbors. You're comparing yourself to the most curated, filtered, successful moment of millions of strangers, all at once, every single day. Of course it feels like you're falling behind. You're being measured against a scale that was never meant to exist. Then there's choice itself. It sounds like freedom. But is it? Psychologist Barry Schwartz researched what happens when people are given too many options. Logically, more choice should mean more happiness. You'd expect it. Instead, Schwartz found the opposite. As choices multiply, people become more anxious, less satisfied, and more likely to regret whatever they eventually pick. He called it the paradox of choice. Give someone 6 flavors of jam, and they enjoy the tasting. Give them 24, and they walk away without buying any, second-guessing a decision that shouldn't have mattered in the first place. Now, scale that up to your actual life. Your ancestors didn't choose between 40 streaming shows, 100 career paths, or an infinite scroll of potential partners. They had one path, mostly decided for them by their community, their family, their circumstances. It sounds restrictive. In many ways it was, but it came with something you rarely get anymore. Certainty. A quiet, settled kind of certainty that didn't ask you to reconsider your entire life every time you opened an app. Certainty is quiet. Certainty doesn't argue with you at 2 in the morning. So what did ancient humans actually have? That you don't? They had endings. A hunt ended one way or another by nightfall. A season ended, and with it, whatever hardship came with it. A conflict, however brutal, usually ended. Because the tribe was small enough that grudges couldn't hide for long. Your stress doesn't end like that. It refreshes. A notification clears, and 3 more appear behind it. An email gets answered, and 2 more land in its place. A problem at work gets solved, and a new one is already waiting in your inbox before you've finished celebrating the first. Your ancestors' systems were built around resolution. Something happened, it was handled, and life moved forward. Yours is stuck in a loop that never quite resolves. A task list that regenerates itself faster than you can empty it. Consider something as simple as an argument. In a small tribe, a disagreement had to be resolved. Because you'd see that same person again tomorrow, and the day after, for the rest of life. There was no walking away for good. Conflict forced resolution. Today, entire disagreements can stay open forever. A text left on read. A friendship that quietly fades without ever being addressed. An argument online with a stranger you'll never see again, and never truly resolve. Openness, it turns out, isn't always lighter than closure. Sometimes it's heavier. Because it never lets you put the weight down. They also had proximity. Danger was close, but so was support. If a hunt went wrong, your entire group knew within the hour. Comfort arrived fast, because community lived a few feet away, not a few time zones away. Now, when something goes wrong in your life, the people who care about you might be behind a screen, half asleep, in another city, unaware anything happened at all. Isolation is quiet too. But it's a different kind of quiet, colder, and they had rhythm. Sunrise, work, sunset, rest, repeat. The pattern was simple enough that your body could set its clock to it, and it did, over hundreds of thousands of years. Your body still runs on that ancient rhythm, whether you honor it or not. Light still tells your brain when to release the chemicals that keep you alert, and when to release the ones that let you finally rest. But your life runs on shift schedules. Blue light at midnight, deadlines that don't care what time zone your body thinks it's in, and a culture that treats sleep as something to be negotiated down rather than protected. You're not weak for feeling tired in a world that ignores your own biology. You're accurate. Your exhaustion is not a personal failing. It's a correct reading of the gap between the rhythm your body expects and the schedule your life actually demands. Here's the twist, though. It's not that modern life added more danger. In most measurable ways, it added less. What it actually added was ambiguity. Constant, low-grade, unresolved ambiguity, stacked endlessly, with no clear signal for when it's safe to stop bracing. Your ancestors braced for short bursts and then rested completely. You brace quietly, almost all day, every day, without ever fully realizing you're doing it. So does that mean you're broken? Not even close. It means your brain is doing exactly what it was built to do. It just wasn't built for this many inputs. This many comparisons, this many decisions, arriving all at once, with no lion to fight and no clear ending in sight. Understanding this doesn't erase the stress. It won't clear your inbox or shrink your calendar, or quiet the comparisons waiting on your phone. But it does something else, something quieter, and maybe more useful. It removes the shame from it. You're not failing at a life your ancestors would have found easy. You're succeeding. Every single day at surviving conditions your own biology never expected to face, using hardware that was never designed for this much noise. That doesn't mean you're powerless in it either. Once you understand that your stress response is built for short bursts and clear endings, you can start giving it exactly that on purpose. Close the loop where you can. Finish the conversation instead of leaving it open. Put the phone down after the task is actually done, instead of letting the next demand bleed into it. Choose fewer things, deliberately, the way your ancestors never had to, precisely because too much choice was never a problem they had to solve. None of it erases the modern world, but it gives your ancient mind something it's been quietly asking for the entire time. A moment where the lion is gone, and it's finally allowed to believe it. So tonight, when your phone lights up again, and the feeling creeps back, in that everything is somehow too much, remember this. It's not that you've gotten weaker than the people who came before you. It's that the world got louder, faster, and far less finished while your ancient, quiet mind is still patiently waiting for the lion to leave.